Hello everybody, Lex the Gray here. In this video, I just want to mod Maze Rats. Maze Rats is by far my favorite RPG. I love the rules, but there are some things I feel like I can apply some house rules to. So let's start on the first page here. We have danger rolls, which are essentially skill checks. Typically in my videos, I don't really use the set 10 difficulty. I follow a different method, which D&D uses, and that's just a difficulty class. You either roll equal to or higher to succeed, and I change that around depending on the difficulty. So 6, 8, 10, 12 for impossible, stuff like that. Pretty simple. But I've been thinking about the World of Dungeons one-page RPG, and I want to bring that concept into here. So basically, for danger rules, a 6 or less will be a fail. 7 through 9 would be a partial success with a complication or with a setback. And then a 10 plus is a success. 12 plus is a great success. And that's it. You apply the bonus, the strength, dexterity, or will bonus to whatever the character is doing, and that's really it. You just kind of go through this, and I think that is, I like the bell curve concept because if you're, it gives more influence on the narrative and the outcome. You like it makes the roll feel like it's worth it, especially if you roll higher. Because typically, if you roll against the DC, if you're equal to or higher, then yeah, you're successful. But what if you roll 18 or 19 compared to the DC in D&D terms? Then a good GM would, or a good DM would apply some maybe some narrative influence on it. Would make it even would make the player character feel even more successful. But this is a good way to apply that kind of mechanic to make it seem like the roll is worth it. So if you do fail, you fail. 7 through 9, your character is partially successful, but there's a setback. 10 plus, standard success. It went well. 12 plus, perfect. It's like you were you woke up that day and you knew it was going to work out perfectly. Next is advantages, which I don't really want to change. This is fine. I do like the 3d6 concept if you have an advantage, if it's skill related. NPC reactions, I don't really use this too often, so I don't have any gripes about it. Initiative is fine. I've tinkered with it a couple times, but typically what I usually result to is just rolling two dice and whoever rolls higher, if it's an equal, I re-roll. If it's like that, then the blue is typically player character, players, red is typically the enemy. So whoever rolls higher wins. Combat. Now this is the next one I want to talk about. Combat in Maze Rats is incredibly simple. You roll against the enemy's armor. The difference is the damage done. If you roll equal to, doesn't really state it in here, but basically it's like a block. It's no damage taken. You can apply a condition, which I've done before, but essentially you need one or more you had to exceed the armor to really deal damage. Because this game is very unapologetic, you can die fairly quickly. And especially since I like this engine so much, I want to apply it to a longer campaign. I've devised this plan for combat. So you roll the 2d6 plus the attack bonus, and if it's greater than uh, enemy armor, you deal plus one damage plus the weapon damage. So weapon bonus. This is the big part right here. So I am thinking about not. using the method of the difference. So if the, let's say, if the enemy AC armor is going to be a red die, preferably, is let's just say 6, and I roll, and I land on a, let's just say I get a perfect 10, is 6, so that'd be difference of 4, it wouldn't be 4 damage. It would just be the standard +1, and then whatever weapon bonus you have. This could extend the time of combat, but it will also extend the survival rate of the player character to use it in a longer campaign. Same thing goes for the enemies. If they roll 2d6 against my armor of, let's just say, the standard 8, and of course I get the same thing, and they get a 10, that's a difference of 2. They deal 1 damage, and that's it. Not 2 damage, but 1 damage. If the enemy has an advantage or has a, if it's a boss, maybe 2 damage. That's how I perceive it because I don't want to change the concept of giving more HP health to the player during the creation process. I think this would be serviceable. So you roll 2d6 plus the attack bonus, greater than enemy armor, you deal 1 damage. And then for enemies, enemy roll would be the 2d6 and then greater than the PC armor equals +1 damage. And that's it. Maybe boss damage is +2. So that I think keeps things constricted a bit, limits the amount of damage done, and lets the player character survive longer. So that's what I would do for combat. Again, I do like the concept of rolling and considering the difference as damage. That combines both the attack roll and damage roll together. But I think this goes an extra step further in simplicity and keeps the player character alive a little longer. Now, there was one other thing for combat. I believe I thought about this. I wrote down greater than for both enemy and PC armor, but in D&D, if you equal the armor class, you can deal damage. But in this game, because it's a 2d6 game, it's not a d20 game, hitting the armor class, the armor is a block. It doesn't deal any damage. I could say, all right, maybe if I do hit the armor, I can deal 1 damage, but I couldn't use my weapons damage. So here's an optional rule. I'm just considering now. Optional. Um, equal to armor would be +1 damage only. No weapon bonus. So if even if I have a +1 or 2 weapon bonus on top of the damage consider the count, it would not apply. Or a condition. Maybe it slows dexterity, or maybe it cuts the damage in half, which can kind of complicate things, but that's essentially what I'm thinking, a condition. I'll put a question mark on that one. But optional, I'll just leave it at that. It's optional. Let me know what you guys think about this part here. Just that one section. So then that I think it's really it for combat. NPC morale I don't really use often. Healing, I improvise. I usually just use a dice like a D4 or D6. Encumbrance, I believe I've been sticking to the rules, and I do consider that. Leveling up. So leveling up. There's nothing really wrong with it, in my opinion, but I feel I can go further because, like I said, I want to use this engine further beyond level 7. So once I reach level 8, I go back down the list and just start over because each of these are different, or each one is a pattern. So level 2 is +2 max health, +1 to enemy to ability bonus. The next one here, +2 max health, pick one attack bonus, then gain a path, etc. See, it's all the same. It just rinse and repeat. I usually go by milestone. I don't use an XP system. The level 8, it would just be the tables, repeat the table path. That's how I would do it. I'll go back up here and just repeat that. So that's for leveling up. Now for character creation, this is fine. I usually use this method. I don't use the random numbers arranged here in this table. But maximum health is fine, especially now with this method on top of it. Starting features, this is fine. Maybe I can create more classes as we go. Because I think the Shadowjack, all these classes kind of last three, Fingersmith, Roof Runner, Shadowjack, I think that kind of falls within a rogue. A Briarborn is probably the most unique one upon these four, but that's fine. In any event, character creation is fine. The rest, as far as I would say, works out. This whole thing system here is fine. What I did want to get to is the monster generation. Now, I don't use this often. I probably should, but like it says here, a weak enemy is one dice, 1D, typical 2D, tough 3D, hulking 4D, colossal 60. So I'm thinking that would mean the enemy, you would roll the dice to set their health. So a typical would be I have 11 health, and I would choose the armor 6, 7, 8, 9, or 10. One thing I've tried in my last, I think, video or two was having a fluctuating armor. The HP is tied to the armor and decreases as they get damaged. So that's a possibility. That way, as you damage the enemy over time, it feels like they're actually getting weaker. Their armor doesn't stay put as they get to, let's say, one health left. It feels like you really are defeating them over time. Like they're getting weaker. But that wouldn't be fair because the player character's armor wouldn't go down. So I think that one's debatable. I probably wouldn't change that. I would keep the armor class like this because I have this change of making it more fair for the player character and even the enemies to survive longer. I think if I were to use a fluctuating armor, it would give the player character too much power. So that one's also debatable. Feel free to let me know what you think about that in the video in the comments. But that's really it for modding Maze Rats. Let me know uh, what you guys would do if you played Maze Rats before. But like I said, this is by far my favorite system, and I just like using it. It's incredibly simple. It has some flexibility. There are plenty of dice rolling, which I favor, and all the tables. There's just all these tables, and I do have the pamphlet, the actual physical paper copy coming in, soft cover copy coming in pretty soon here. So hopefully, because it's smaller, and I hate using this binder during a video because it takes up the whole entire screen. But as always, thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.